yeah, we rollin'. Got you bumpin' that shit, got you bumpin' that shit, we be rockin', yeah, we rollin'. Got you bumpin' that shit, got you bumpin' that shit, we be rockin', yeah, we rollin'. Got you bumpin' that shit, got you bumpin' that shit, we be rockin', yeah, we rollin'. Got you bumpin' that shit.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Vic Hugo Show. Very special guest today, longtime friend of mine, entrepreneur, life coach, and apparently a very good bartender, Mr. Robert Banks.
Thank you, Vic. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Hi.
Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for having me here in your spot. I know you. If you want to introduce yourself to my guests, let them know pretty much who you are, where you come from, and yeah, what you do.
So thank you for having me again, Vic. My name is Robert Banks. I've been in management the last 25 years of my life. I started selling free phones at the malls. I was one of those annoying kids that would hit you up with a free phone bid back in the day when VoiceStream still existed. And then, I climbed the ladder, the corporate ladder, and became a corporate manager, and then, a coach to help my employees get to the next level. I've been a lifelong El Pasoan, here from your native Chuco town, now residing back in El Paso. And, it's been a journey, man, but I haven't given up, and I'm motivated to keep on growing.
How exactly why I wanted to have you on the show, brother. I mean, since I've known you, I've known some of your story, and you've just have overcome a lot of obstacles that have been put your way, man. Right. So as a person, as a man, like, I admire that. You know what I mean? So what can you say to, well, we'll start with the coaching. Okay, I know like I said, you were my manager at one point. You were awesome at it, and I took a lot of stuff from you as well. And I guess my question is, how do you handle different personalities to approach? Because nowadays, like, management, especially here in El Paso, bro, it feels like it's always like, do what I'm telling you to do, and not so much as a leader. You know what I mean? How do you pretty much manage that? How do you break apart from having that dictator mindset to kind of like a leader mindset?
Good question, man. So I was that manager, man. I was that manager that used to have that mentality of do as you're told, not as I do, right? Because I would have a lot of leeway within the companies and the organizations I belonged to. But thankfully, I was rescued, man. I had the opportunity to be mentored by somebody really close to me, somebody that I went to high school with, and we kind of developed, and he had a much more mature head on his shoulders than I did. Back then I was hot and wild, man, so I just didn't care. But one day he asked me, he's like, "Hey, man, would you rather be respected or loved?" And it kind of threw me off, because I'm just like, why? Why are you asking that question? And it turns out that a lot of my team would be afraid of my coaching, because I was really hard on them, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to choose between being a manager and a leader. And when I was able to differentiate that, a manager says go, and a leader says let's go. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, it was just like, wow, Rob, like you're just pushing these people around, and you wouldn't do half the stuff that you're asking of them. Mm-hmm. Right? So it took some humbling. I had to humble up a little bit and eat that pie. And ultimately, like, it's helped me with my career. Mm-hmm. I've faced a lot of adversity, Vic. From not being able to grow as fast as I want to, from having family doubt me, friends doubt me, from losing my kids, losing my wife for some selfish stupidity things that I did. Right? It took a lot of humbling to get me at my level now. But that's the big one, man. Is just now when I think about coaching, it's just like, would you do this? Would you put yourself in their shoes? And if so, would you do what you're asking of them, right? Mm-hmm. I do my very best and hold myself accountable, and before I pass the buck or blame somebody else before me, I always ask myself, like, hey, Rob, did you do everything possible to avoid your current circumstance? Mm-hmm. And if I can be honest with myself and answer truthfully, then you know what, it's like not really my fault. But 9 out of 10 times, I always find an area of opportunity to keep on growing, right? So I guess I'm my hardest critic, but doing so has has helped me develop some really good minds. Yeah.
And that's badass, dude, because like, and it takes time, right, to realize that, because you do go on that power that you know, once you get in that position of power, you start kind of like dictating and like, you start feeling yourself. But then it takes that humbling for you to realize I should always point the finger at me first before I start pointing it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So is this why you decided to become a life coach, or what? What does that have to?
It just kind of happened. I didn't mean to do it purposely. Like I said, I was very fortunate to have the mentor that I did. You know, he took his time with me, and in doing so, I have a different character and persona. I'm very outgoing and I'm very raw and truth and to the point, right? Combined with what I learned from my mentor, it was just like I attracted a certain person, a certain persona, a certain crowd, right? And it's like I don't actively look for people to help. You know, I don't know why. You know, I don't know if you believe in God or not, but I feel that God always puts somebody in my path to help out. You know, there's been a lot of adversity, and truthfully, I still ask myself, like, why am I still here? You know, there's been some stuff in my past where I'm just like, wow, I live to tell another day, another story.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it just fell in my lap, you know. So when people reach out, like, just the way that my mentor took his time with me and showed me what I can be and do, you know, because I come from a different background, right? I come from the other side of the tracks. And, you know, not that there's something wrong with any, like, thing that you do in life, you know, whether you're flipping burgers, washing dishes, selling cars. You know, I could have capped myself had my mentor not showed me what life can be if you can just help others get to where they want to get. So I've always had that mentality, and it's just kind of like, you know, falling on my lap. I went through an offset, right, where like everything, I literally lost everything, right, because of some foolishness that I did. But I believe that the greatest failures leave opportunity for the greatest teaching moments, right? So I failed at my marriage. I failed as a father. I failed as a business owner. I failed as, you know, an employee. And with those life experiences, I've been able to help develop some of the greatest minds, you know, whether it's people that I managed at where we worked, or people that are related to me, right? You know, like, I always take it personal and make sure that I help them out to the best of my ability. You can't lead a horse to water,
Make him drink it.
or make him drink it, right? You can lead him to water, but you can't make him drink it.
There we go.
You know, but it's like, I do my best.
And look, that's badass, bro, because like for the longest time, and I think we can all relate to it, you know, we've all been that fuck up. We've all had to like lose shit to fucking value it, right? And right now you just saying like, I fucked up at this, I fucked up at that. Like, you taking accountability for it is badass, because for the longest time, like, we really don't, you know, like, even though you're fucking up, you know it, you never want to say it out loud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You never want to be like, yeah, I was a shitty dad, I was a shit. And it's like, you saying it is just, you're acknowledging it, and now it's time to fucking fix it.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly, man.
So it's having that mindset. Being a life coach, brother, what's the most important thing that you focus on with the people that you're trying to coach? What's the number one thing that you try and inflict into their brains?
Accountability. Accountability, man. I make fun of it, right? And some of the people that I'm currently helping out, you know, there's a positive quote that I took, and it's actually from Star Wars. And Master Yoda says, "Do or do not. There is no try."
Nice.
So there's black and white. There's no shady area. A lot of people like to live in the shady area, and that's the first thing that I help them acknowledge. Where are you living? Are you living in the black or the white, or in the shady area? And it's like a tough question for a lot of people that don't hold themselves accountable. Once I help you cross that bridge of accountability, it's just like, wow, it opens up your eyes, your mindset, you know, and it helps you raise your lid. You know, a lot of people have a really closed and small lid, and you know, they hang out with, you know, people that will keep them at that level, right? You know, I'm looking to hang out with people, you know, like you, CEOs, you know, company owners, you know, people that are living a good life, you know, because I wanna surround myself with that positivity, right? But you know, when I first help somebody, it's just like, I listen to them, listen, and a lot of times I hear a lot of like me, or like no, or they.
Yeah.
So it's not a good balance of anything, and it's mostly people putting the blame on other people on why they're short coming on anything, right?
Yeah. Totally see that, and I totally agree with it. And you don't think it's so basic that you don't even see it. You know, you don't see it as just a person that just holding yourself accountable will take you miles. You know, and I mean, dude, I'm 30. I'm about to be 35, and just barely am I like seeing that. You know, so what is? I think they say men mature like at 35 or 40, right? Which is horrible, but it's the fucking truth. But I think I agree with. You know, who you hang out with plays a major role, dude.
Yeah.
Because, and this is honestly one of the biggest reasons why I started this show, man. Because I wanted to interview people that I wanted to be like, or that I can learn from. You know what I mean? And I mean, we haven't had the same path. You know, we've had struggles and adversity and everything. And then I see it, bro. Like we're sitting in your fucking badass house right now, you know, and in your office, bro. And that's motivating to me. And that's badass.
Thank you, man. And it was a trip, Vic, because like, you know, like I said, I went through a very low moment in my life where, you know, I was literally put away from the public, from everybody, man, and I was in confinement. You know, like I messed up in my previous life, and you know, I was held accountable, right? I was held accountable by you know, my family, and you know, of course, the state of Texas. and it's hard to, it's kind of crazy saying that, hey, at one point I was property of the state.
Yeah,
right?
You know, a lot of people don't say it like that.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, and when I first went through this, man, like I had such a great reputation in the church with the family, and you know, I want to say like 95% of all people have some kind of double life. Right, they just never get caught, or you know, they know how to put up the show.
They hide it.
Yeah, they hide it well.
They hide it better than others.
You know, but thankfully, I'm thankful for the situation that I was put in. You know, as far as God humbling me, man, and if I can do it, man, anybody can do it. You know, if you feel like you're falling short because you know you're an ex-con, or you've been down before, or your baby mama hates you, or I don't know, man. I mean, whatever the excuses might be. And I'm just saying, man, like I've been in the other side of the tracks. You know, I developed into what I was. You know, I had my area of opportunity, and then it was just like, where'd I go from here, man? You know, I'm at the bottom of the bottom. You know, I can't go any further down. You know, so at that point, I had to make a choice whether to stay there, you know, in the pool of excuses, or find a way to get out of that hole I dug myself into. You know, I had a manager who gave me that. It's like, you do very well at digging your own hole. You know, like now find a way to get out of your own hole, right? So, you know, if I can do it, man, anybody can do it, man. If you're out there giving yourself excuses on why not, you're gonna stay there. You know, you got to find a way to get out. You got to find a way to make it happen.
And people fall into that hole, and then they blame other people for not helping them out the hole, right? When in reality, you gotta dig yourself out that hole.
Exactly.
All right, so you said becoming a life coach just happened, bro, which usually that's when badass shit happens, when it just happens, right?
Yeah.
So let's say that wouldn't have happened. As a kid, or maybe even just 10 years ago, where did you see yourself now?
Honestly, man, I was climbing up the ladder with my mentor, man, and had I not gone through that aha moment, that speed bump in the road, you know, I would have seen myself as like a vice president of sales for a major telecommunications company of some sort. You know, one of the big four, one of the big fives. You know, helping develop my team like I used to, because you know, I took a lot of pride in that. It was fun for me, man. I love being part of the corporate world and you know, do what I did. But had I not fallen into the situation where, you know, God had a different purpose for me, like I said, I fell into it. Like, you know, I didn't actively start looking for people to help. It's just people cross my path, you know, and it's always like, hey, man, like, how'd you get so lucky to come back up? You know, like, how'd you get so lucky to come back up after what you went through? And I was just like, dude, it's not luck. It's waking up before everybody else and putting work in, man, grinding, right? You know, I have a sign back here that says grind. I live by it. Right? You got to grind every day, man. You got to be the first one in and the first one out. You know, your mentality just has to be like above everybody else, even if you don't have the means, right? It's the attitude that you portray. Like, you know, I'm better, I'm good, I'm better than this. You know, it's just like no one's really gonna stop me. But you know, to answer your question, man, like had I not fallen into this, you know, my aspirations and my vision would have been to be like some kind of top tier management for a major telecommunications company.
Okay. And I mean, like I said, just since I've known you, you've been badass with people, you've been badass at sales. So if you can give me just the top 3 most important thing that you need to be a salesman, a good salesman.
The biggest one would be integrity, doing the right thing when nobody's looking, right? The second thing would be building relationships with trust, right? Because a lot of people forget that anybody can say that they're a sales guy, saleswoman, salesperson, right? But you know, unfortunately, over the years of development and evolution, the sales guy has evolved to your typical shark or snake. You know, when you walk into a car dealership or, you know, like an appliance store, people just attack you because they're looking for the next nut. Like, how am I going to get my next nut? And it's kind of like, are you going to buy or what?
Yeah.
Versus like, hey, you know what brings you in? How can I help you? You know, how the kids, you don't have kids, you want kids, you know, building a rapport with trust with these customers to where it's just like, you know what, dude, this guy's not going to try to fuck me.
Yeah.
Right? This guy's actually genuinely trying to help me. Right? And then the last thing is just come through. Do what you're going to do and keep it at that. If you can do it, great. And if you can't, just be upfront and be like, hey, I can't do this. Right? It's better to set the expectation, right? And go through with it. I think once you do those 3 things, you know, that's kind of what sets you apart from everybody else. Not only that, but you know, the referrals will come in.
Being in sales, isn't it crazy? Like when you're a salesman, you go somewhere and you're gonna buy something, and then you get that. Don't you know? Like you realize right away, like, oh, this dude for real. Yeah. Like this is what I do too, man. And you're fucking up right now. And it happens more than you would want it to happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I don't know. I feel like I'm a good salesman, so I want to be treated as such whenever I go buy something, right? So and that's why I asked, man, because I see it in the other generations to where that report's not there, that just actually, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Wow. Empathize. You don't empathize with the customer now. It's kind of like, are you going to buy or not?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, dude, what? You know, it makes you feel like just the next customer, you know?
Yeah, just another number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, okay, going based off that, like generations. You talk about grind, you talk about being a leader, you talk about all these things that we know we should be doing. I don't see that in this coming generations, brother. I don't. And maybe you do, maybe I'm wrong on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's technology. I don't know if it's just laziness. Well, what's your perspective on that?
You know, man, I'll be honest with you, man, and I hope I don't offend none of your viewers, man. But you know, I just think that a lot of people have taken God out of the equation.
Ooh.
And you know, back in my day, man, you know, my mom would kick me out. God bless her soul, she's no longer with us, but my mom would kick me out the minute the sun came out. Go play, go get in trouble, you know.
Just get the hell out of the house, yeah.
Somebody offers you a lollipop from a van, run away, come back and tell me. I'll go do my mommy thing, but make sure you're back by the time the sun goes down for dinner. Mm-hmm. Right? And, you know, we were out there drinking out of the manguera and getting into trouble and, you know, getting lost in the desert, you know, fighting with other kids. And, you know, just unfortunately now with the evolution of parenting, right, now you can't beat your kids because it's child abuse and CPS is going to get called on you. And, you know, now you have to be careful how you discipline your kids and what you say to your kids because everything's traumatic. You know, there's a lot of entitlement in this next generation, man. Mm-hmm. You know, where people just feel like they're entitled to a check, they're entitled to a raise without putting the work in, without having to grind. You know, I said earlier I failed as a father, right, because I was too busy conquering my position that, you know, I let a lot of things go, man, to include neglecting my ex-wife, neglecting the kids, and I was just too busy in my own bullshit, right? Mm-hmm. You know, developing my team to get me to my next level. And God has a funny way of humbling us. And I was given the opportunity to have another kid. And I don't know if you follow me on some of my social media, but my third son, man, I've made up for it, right? And I'm making up for it, and I'm instilling these values that my father put into my head, right? My dad, when I was growing up in the 80s, my dad held 3 jobs. He held a butcher job during the day, security officer during the night, in and odds jobs, when they came up, and he wrestled in the Mexican wrestling leagues.
Oh shit!
Lucha Libre. Yeah, Lucha Libre, man. He debuted as the Gran Arturo, and then his last character was El Guardian. And I grew up with my dad watching him, man. I say that not a lot of heroes wear capes. My dad wore a mask. My dad wore multiple hats, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm instilling into my son, right? Because I'm raising him old school with some new school values, right? So like my son is 2 and 4 months now, and he knows how to say hello, yes sir, no ma'am. He knows how to shake hands when he greets people. He's very outgoing. He does the knuckles. He does the high five. Thank you, no thank you, yes ma'am. It's
that's awesome.
It's crazy, man, because we get complimented. My current spouse and I, we get complimented a lot on the way that we're raising my son. And my son is just not your typical kid. In public he behaves. Here at home he respects his mom, he respects his dad, he respects his toys. He knows how to put his stuff away. He respects his bedtime. Just recently we're gonna get him into the Word. We invested in some child Bibles and things of that nature. Looking for a good church to go back to. But I think that's what's wrong with our current generation, man. Somewhere between now and then, it's just like someone dropped the ball. Society, parents, I don't know, man. But now generation is just, everybody's just so entitled, man. It's hard to find good help.
And I think we were sold something different as the culture, as the public, man. And like growing up, I grew up in Juarez as well, dude. Very religious family, My family would always go to church, and I would hate it. Yeah, I would hate it as a kid, like, oh, I don't want to go, But I would still go. And it was always there, Maybe I wouldn't pay attention to it as a kid, but it was present. God was present in my life. And it was good. It was good. I didn't really see how good it was till now, but I think as a culture, and you see it now everywhere, bro. It's all satanic stuff, It's always talks about, like bad, negative thing. And if you talk about Jesus, you're a fucking bad guy, bro.
Yeah,
and so that's fucking weird, bro. And I never really noticed it. And now you see it. Like, you see UFC fighters talking about it. They get their mics taken away, Like, you can't talk about it in school, but you can fucking play twerking music, and the girls are twerking everywhere, but you can't read the Bible. Like, that makes no fucking sense. So I think that's what it is. Like, we were sold something. I don't know if it was just one person saying, like, we're gonna be doing this. I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy. But I feel like that is what leads to school shootings, right? Stuff like, or maybe because we didn't have social media. Do you remember back in our day, like, hearing like school shooting or stuff like that? I would hear fight, but not school shooting.
Yeah. I mean, we had a couple of funny sayings, fight, a certain person and a white, and that's what it was, man. I make fun of this guy. We have a mutual friend, and he's older, and he's very traditional, man, and he's always fighting, right? And I keep up with them, right? We touch base every 2 weeks, minimum once a month, and it's just like, hey brother, like, you gotta be careful out there, man. You can't be fighting everybody, because eventually someone's gonna pull a gun on you, man. and that's one of my biggest fears, because back then I was able to carry, right, because we were transitioning into a really bad generation. Unfortunately, now I just can't carry anything, right? So like, I have to duke it out. Thankfully, I weigh out my options now. Before I would, just go in there, kick ass, and then ask questions later.
Yeah.
And then now it's kind of like, all right, cool. Let me do my best to, de-escalate the situation. Only because like I have a lot to lose now, right? My family needs me. I'm the sole income provider for my family, and it's just like, is it worth it? Is it worth me getting into my feelings, letting my ego get the best of me again, and end up in a really bad situation, and losing my son, losing my baby mama, losing the house. I mean, everything that I worked so hard to come back up, right? And it's just like, yeah, like it's just, you gotta be careful nowadays, man. Like, is it worth it? No, not really.
No, hell no. It's not, especially, and you see that's a mentality change though, right? Because 5 years ago you probably wouldn't have thought that, but now because of what you've been through, you're at that stage. You know what I mean? Well, back then I remember you being all about guns, bro. So right now you're saying you can't carry. Is it because you can't?
I basically lost that right.
Right.
And it's just like, hey, cool. Society deemed me a violent person for the actions that I took, and it's just, that's part of the consequence, man. And like I said earlier, you hold yourself accountable. That I do everything possible to avoid the situation where I can't use that right anymore. And no, I could have acted differently, and I could have done things a lot different, to what I did, But ultimately, yeah, man. I mean, back then, like I would minimally buy a gun like once a month. I had such a large gun collection that was just kind of crazy, man. And, everybody knew it, man, because we would go shooting.
Yeah, no, I remember you would always talk about it, and that's why I asked, bro, because now like you have all these people against guns, right? And that's what I mean about selling, man. I feel like the United States itself, they're the best fucking salesperson, right? If countries were people, the United States would be fucking top rep.
Yeah.
Because they can sell and advertise the shit out of anything, dude.
Yeah.
And I feel like right now there's that debate. There's always going to be that debate, gun control. And I feel like they're using that, school shootings, all that, in a very, because I feel like it's a culture thing, like we just talked about. It's like kids not fucking having shit to do. That, I mean, I think Chris Rock. I think it was Chris Rock who said, the bully is as important as the teacher. Because the bully's gonna teach you some shit too, bro. Yeah. Like, you're either gonna stand up to a bully, it's gonna teach you things about yourself. Like, when the fuck am I gonna stand up to this guy? I'm tired of getting beat up, So you take that out of the equation, that's where you get entitlement. That's where you get like, oh, I don't want to do this and stuff like that. And dude, me personally, I fucking hate it. Like, my son just started middle school, and he'll give me that like, Dad, what do I gotta do? And I'm like, dude, what? Yeah. Where the fuck did this mentality come from? Like, I fucking hate it.
Nah, yeah, good point, man. Well said.
But yeah, brother. Well, I mean, that pretty much. I have nothing else to ask. Is there anything else that you want to tell the people? Maybe let them know where they can reach you for your services or anything like that.
You know what? Yeah, man. I mean, if you guys just want to have a conversation, or you guys just need someone to talk to, man. Unfortunately, I saw a lot of people take a different route out from the situation, right? Which kind of like helped me be available to my brothers and sisters. But I mean, if you guys just need someone to talk to, or a second opinion on something, feel free to reach me through my social media. I'm sure you're gonna post this on Instagram and
it'll be everywhere, huh?
Yeah, so that's the best platform to get a hold of me. You can call me directly. We'll leave my information somewhere. But yeah, definitely get a hold of me. I'm open for anything, guys.
Cool. Thank you, sir, for having me. Thank you for the drink. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you very much.